Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Eat, Sleep, Suplex, Retweet.
It's the draft. We're live, keeping half the namesake in place like we always do. We may be live, but it's not a Saturday. It's a Friday, but we're here anyway, and it's the most exciting time of any season that happens in the draft. That is the kickoff draft selection show, and we are joined once again by last season's winner, champion, drafting from a perilous position with the other two-time winner of the draft, Stephen Wilson. Scott McLeod, how are you feeling going into this?
Oh, it's the most wonderful time of the draft. I'm not concerned at all. Not concerned about you and Ross. Not concerned about Dave and the work experience boy. Robert Shaw. I'm not concerned about Team Ace Ventura, Ryan and David, because I call them that because they don't get their arse all the time. The BGs, Gary and Grant, and Team Just Happy to Be Here, Sarah and Strack. We know what we're doing. Let's get on with it.
Dave, some strong comments from Scott there. How are you feeling? Obviously, you've been paired with the winner of the Listeners League for this.
You know what? We're going to take you all by surprise. Robert is a bit of an unknown entity, when it comes to the main league. And as you know, I'm a former winner of the draft myself, and I'm always a high scorer. I think, we're going to absolutely curveball the lot of you with what we've got planned.
Teasing is all there. But before we get into selections, obviously, Grant One Purgatory has been teamed with Gary Kerrigan, and they will be drafting first. So the way this is going to work is the tag teams are going to be sending me their picks, and I'll be announcing them live on the stream for everyone to hear, and you'll get the raw, genuine reactions of myself, Dave Hockney, and Scott McLeod of what we think is going to happen, how it's all going to go down. But a quick wee rundown of the rules. You've got to pick your tag team first. You've got to pick a gender split 3-2, so either 3 men and 2 women, or 3 women and 2 men. The points scoring from this system will only go from 4 shows. So it'll be Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and Dynamite. So for this season, there's no NXT UK and there's no AEW Dark. So whether that changes any draft and selection, throw up in the air and we'll find out. The season runs from obviously Monday coming up until the very last pinfall of WrestleMania. The points will be gathered all the way. You've got your captains. You can move your captain once during the season. It's all go. But boys, I can already confirm that the first tag team has been sent in for Gary and Grant. And I must say, I'm very surprised, very miffed.
I think I've heard about what this is.
I don't know how to take it, but I think they've came here to play, and they've came here to certainly F shit up. Their tag team is Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman.
I heard about this. I heard through the grapevine.
My God.
Smart. Now this is something that I'm very, very surprised at. It's Roman would have been a first top contender for the first round. Obviously, I drafted Paul Heyman the very last selection last season. Dave, I'll come to you first. This kind of blows quite a few things out the water here.
You know what? This was the last thing I was expecting. It's real. This is what a way to kick off, by the way. Gary has been very creative with his tag team picks. We picked Lashley an MVP of the Hurt Business I think it was 2 seasons ago. He probably played first. And my God, he's just taken that one of the highest scoring singles picks from last season straight away. And it not only does it protect Roman as well, from lost points, but you just know that, multiple appearances from them, it's just going to even out the playing field.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Because it doesn't matter what happens to Roman at WrestleMania with the title, because it's not going to affect them in any way, because he'll come out with Paul Heyman, and no matter how many times Roman appears, Heyman is always with him. So I think it's a smart pick, and like you said, takes a big singles pick right off the board. So there you go. Everybody's going to have to cross off Roman Reigns off their potential. I mean, I knew me and Stephen wouldn't get Roman because we planned for that. Like, because there's no way you get to the last person's pick and you don't get Roman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm very surprised. I fully respect it. Obviously, it's a very good game plan. I think that said, like, throwing a spanner in the works would be how some folk might take the draft, considering what selections they can maybe get in the first round. But our second team of the draft is Sarah and Strack, and they have taken the recent winners of the AEW Tag Team Battle Royale, MJF and Chris Jericho.
Very interesting.
Oh,
this is one that I was a bit surprised. Obviously, Chris Jericho's a bit of a singles pick. MJF's came. We don't know, are they going to potentially take the titles off the Young Bucks soon? Dave, I'll come to you on that one.
Yeah, not quite what I was expecting, because I had a feeling they would dip into the AEW pool, because we know how valuable AEW is for tag teams. But, a team that's only competed in a handful of matches with each other, like, this, quite an interesting take. But I think they've got, Sarah and Strack clearly have got ambitions for, the MJF and Jericho might actually walk away as tag champions. So, but all in all, me and Robert have to select next, and our number one pick is still available.
So I'll let you stew over that a wee bit. If you want to consult with Robert, I'll come to Scott. Obviously, MJF and Chris Jericho, an AEW tag team in a potentially WWE heavy season. What's your thoughts?
I think, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I think when it comes to AEW, you need to be very careful with who you pick. You need to be people who will probably have a presence at Revolution, because it's at the start of March, and also now that they are the number one contenders and with a strong possibility of winning the tag team titles, I can see why they were taken so early. Me and Stephen even considered taking them, so I don't like that pick, but I have to respect it.
And from that, Dave, you and Robert Shaw, his first ever pick in the main league of the draft. What is your first tag team pick?
Well, luckily, me and Robert, like I said, me and Robert have our first pick. Now, we've taken quite a bit of an analytical approach. We're also going to dip into the AEW pool, and we had quite a few options to choose from based on the scoring of previous seasons. But our first choice, and I think we both agreed on this, we're going to take the AEW Tag Team Champions, the Young Bucks.
Ooh, feeling
very good
lucky
choice.
about Revolution, are you? Lucky.
I mean, I get, they're facing MJF and Jericho at Revolution, but, they're always heavily featured on AEW anyway, and they're a reliable pair of hands in the tag team division. I think they're going to make not just many appearances, but also have plenty of matches in between. And obviously, being the tag champions, they might have multiple defenses between now and WrestleMania.
I think your good thing going with this is that obviously the relationship they've got going on with like Impact and whatnot, like they're going to be a big feature on the show with this elite thing that's going on and whatnot. So they're definitely going to be appearing once, if not twice, like minimum weekly. So it's a very good shout. And before we get on to our next pick, it's David Campbell and Ryan Gallagher. David's producing this show tonight, so thank you very much for doing that. So when the boys are ready, David and Ryan, I know that you're going to come in. You're going to say this over us what your pick's going to be. So when you're ready, just do that. Just let the team know. But Young Bucks is a good shout. I'm a fan of that.
If Mr. Jack Graham, all right, listen to me. Last season didn't go entirely according to plan. However, there was one thing that worked out for me, and that was my tag team pick. I'm taking once again with the great Ryan Gallagher, Nia Jax, and Shayna Baszler. They're coming home.
This is something that was maybe quite
not
maybe so after singles picks. Obviously, they've just regained the women's tag team title, so it's I respect it. It's a very good choice. They're featuring weekly, obviously. When they're not fighting together, they're appearing, they're singles matches, so it's a potentially the same kind of vein as you, Dave, with your pick with the Young Bucks, that appearance points would be a plenty here for them.
Yeah, Nia and Shayna as well were the 8th highest, were actually the best scoring tag team of last season and the 8th highest overall with 48 points. Obviously, regaining the women's tag team titles at the Royal Rumble was a massive booster for the GOAT, and I guess he's putting his faith in them once more. But obviously, they're two single stars operating pretty well as a tag team. I think it might upset some people's singles picks a bit further down the line. But all in all, I think he's sticking to what he knows, sticking with a high scoring team. And Nia and Shayna are an excellent shout.
Any surprise here, Scott, that it's Nia and Shayna for David here again?
Not really surprised, given that they did work out well for him. They got him some last-ditch points at the Rumble when they regained the tag team titles. Although you got to wonder if he would have been better off taking them as singles picks, because you got the women's Dusty Cup coming at Takeover, which I think is the next weekend, so it'll be part of the draft. And the Women's Dusty Classic final is there, and I assume that the winners of that will then face Nia and Shayna for the tag team titles. You got to think, how likely is it that they'll keep the tag team titles? There may be a bit of a risk, and if that does happen, then Nia and Shayna, if they lose the tag team titles, they kind of lose any real reason to be together, because they came together to take down the then tag team champions.
Speaking of the Dusty Classic, Ross and I's tag team.
Mm-hmm.
We're going for the oddball couple that's left.
Oh.
Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa are residing with Jack Graham and Ross McLeod for this season. What's your take on that? Obviously, they had their rivalry that was culminated at the Fight Pit. Then there was one space left open in the Dusty Cup, and they got put in. Scott, I'll come to you first.
Yeah, they were also a team I made consideration for. Again, they are favourites in the Dusty Classic, and Dusty Classic is a tournament for oddball teams, so I can see why you would go for that. Like this time last year, we had a similar team with the Broserweights, and nobody was really confident as a tag team. They got taken as singles picks, but I respect your decision to go for them.
And obviously, Dave, the thinking behind this was that even if they don't win, they'll probably get to that point at Takeover, and if they have another blow-off rivalry, this will be something that will be a kind of main point of NXT, so we'll get that appearance point, which you look for with your tag teams.
Yeah, I think, as Scott mentioned, they've just advanced to the semi-finals of the Dusty Cup. I think they're now the odds-on favourite to win the whole thing, and possibly even dethrone Larkin and Birch for the tag team titles. Now, Tommaso Ciampa was drafted on his own last season. He walked away with 19 points, which isn't an entirely high score, but it was somewhere roughly in the middle of the table. Timothy Thatcher, unfortunately, went undrafted. So you never know. This could be quite a smart pick from you and Ross there, Jack.
So Scott, obviously it's you and Stephen Wilson. I don't imagine being in this position, you would have thought you'd have had the Raw Tag Team Champions and the SmackDown Tag Team Champions undrafted. So you've got quite an interesting choice to make here between the two of you.
Yeah, we had a list of our tag teams we were going to take priority over. A couple of them have already been taken. And I noticed, like you said, that Raw and SmackDown, other than Nia and Shayna, I think it's all been AEW or NXT picks. But sadly, me and Stephen are actually going to go a bit bolder. We're going to go for another NXT pick, a team that actually could be on the other end, side of the Dusty Classic final against Ciampa and Thatcher. We take the newest arrival to NXT, MSK.
That was exactly what our other choice was going to be if we weren't going to go with Thatcher and Ciampa. So that's probably the pick that we spoke about the most, was whether to go for which one of these two tag teams, and we went the latter. So it's left you with MSK. I think I've made a good shout. I do think it's going to be these two teams in the final. I don't know if it's going to be too quick for them to win, but they're definitely going to be having a good spot here in NXT, Dave, don't you think?
I mean, they're primed for a good spot, making their debut in the Dusty Cup. They could certainly go to at least, I'm thinking possibly they're in the semi-finals at least now against Legado del Fantasma. Will they make the final? I'm not entirely sure. They're still fairly new to NXT, and I think, pushing them straight to the moon so quickly would be maybe a bit hasty. I think they need time to sort of adapt and grow into the WWE format. But I think maybe in terms of long-term booking, it might actually pay off. But it's not a team I would have picked personally.
You see, our thought was, even if they don't win, they will be appearing fairly regularly afterwards. Maybe they'll get some wins to build them back up again as contenders, because WWE seemed to be quite high on getting these guys in when they became free, and they've been quite regular, even though they've only debuted less than a month or so ago. So I think we were pretty confident in taking these guys if they were still around. So I can see why them and Ciampa and Thatcher, as you said, Jack, were two sort of picks, because this seems like the most likely scenario for the Dusty final.
So, but before obviously that's the tag team round over, we're going on to our singles competitors now. This is where you draft your as I said, your single competitors. You make the bulk of your team. The 3-2 split must be in place. So before I get on to the pick of Gary and Grant, I'll get both your just kind of takes on this because it's quite a big point we need to speak about. The Raw Tag Team Champions and the SmackDown Tag Team Champions haven't been taken here. Now, always on the build to WrestleMania, that's something that you potentially would see as a match happening there. So, Dave, what's your thoughts that the two main tag titles, obviously the women's tag titles has been picked and that will feature no doubt at that end event. Not the other two haven't been picked here though. What's your take on that?
It's been a bit of a mixed bag for the tag team champions as of late, because obviously the Hurt Business have been showing signs of cracks within the foundation. I think Cedric and Shelton are possibly not the most stable tag team at the minute, despite being Raw tag team champions. And Ziggler has really only been appearing on his own as the SmackDown tag champions. Robert Roode's been MIA for a couple of weeks now. He wasn't even in the Royal Rumble. So I don't know, maybe that spooked some people from choosing them, because they're not exactly the most stable tag teams, maybe aside from the New Day or the Street Profits, which both have surprisingly also went undrafted, but that could be surrounding injury issues, with Kofi's jaw injury, and the Street Profits, Montez is dealing with his leg injury.
So Scott, as the Facebook user, it says came up anonymous. Yeah, but it said what a risk and what a risk these kind of picks up maybe turned out to be here for tag teams. And even as what Dave said, maybe the tag team, when we were speaking about here, maybe it's not in the best state. Obviously, Hurt Business, there's the potential they're going to collapse. So maybe taking one as a single pick, who knows? What's your take in the two brand leading tag teams not being selected here?
I think you need to look at what the season's going to entail. It's sort of big shows and big opportunities to get points. And it's no secret that the Raw and SmackDown tag divisions are pretty bare at the minute, because you've got Hurt Business as champs on one side and Dolph and Robert Roode as tag champs on the other side, and they're all real contenders to the guys they just took the belts off of in the Street Profits and New Day respectively. You've kind of got the Lucha House Party in about Gable and Otis, kind of. So as in terms of tag division, the tag division isn't as solid, and the Raw and SmackDown tag titles aren't even always a guarantee to even get on the WrestleMania card. Some years, sometimes you include one set of tag titles and not the other. Street Profits were kind of just below MSK for me in terms of priorities, because maybe they would get the tag titles back before WrestleMania. But I think given the fact that NXT and AEW do have quite stacked tag divisions, and as we've seen from this, we've got teams that we're talking about potentially winning the Dusty Cup. You've got both sides of the AEW tag team title match at Revolution. So taking TakeOver and Revolution into account, I think it's a case of strategizing ahead for potential big opportunities points-wise in the season. So I don't really see it as a risk, because if this was a longer season, like next season, I would maybe agree, but there's nothing really on the main roster in terms of the tag division.
Well, enough about these tag teams. We've spoken about bloody tag teams enough. Grant and Gary's first pick, I think it's a bit of a given here. I think we all know how it's going to go. Maybe. It's a WWE champion, Drew McIntyre. Now, I think for the first time in draft history, the Universal champion and the WWE champion find themselves in the same team.
Yep.
Dave, what's your thoughts here?
Absolute stroke of genius from Grant and Gary, getting Roman and Heyman as a tag team. And now that the two highest scorers from last season are both on Grant and Gary's team now. They've played an absolute blinder with that tag team pick, and now they've just scooped up Drew as their first singles pick. But it wasn't a big surprise. Drew and Roman were probably the most sought after picks of this entire draft, and now instead of the first and second teams to select them, Grant and Gary have just scooped up both of them. It's an absolute genius play.
Scott, genius play for a bunch of bastards, isn't it?
Yeah, but whether will they really get a champion's advantage for the tag team of Heyman and Roman, even though Heyman is Roman is the Universal Champion. That's all of as a tag team. That really implied if they were tag team champions, if both of them hold the title, well, only one of them holds the title. And then you've got Drew on their side. I think they both picked first before, and they both had Drew in their team because everybody wants kind of Drew, especially ever since he won the Rumble last year. And he's always seemed to be a pick that delivers. So of course he was going to come in and take it. There's somebody else who's way high over in the AEW side, I would have thought Grant would have really wanted the first pick. I think that's then working with Guy, and I think they both realised that they've had Drew in the past. I think it's got strong to go with the WWE champion while you've got that first pick advantage.
No, I think I've already had the next submission in from Straka and Sarah, and obviously there's an assumption here that maybe they would go a bit more kind of Wednesday heavy how their picks are going, but they're not. And maybe after a recent interview that he's not going to be a part-timer and he's going to be here for the full 8 weeks in the road to WrestleMania. Sarah and Strack's first pick is the Royal Rumble winner Edge. Dave, you've got a bit of a kind of angry look on you there.
Yeah, he was going to be our first round pick for me and Robert, unfortunately. But, Sarah and Strack, I think they anticipated, where the rest of us were going to choose. And that's the thing you've got to do with the draft is you got to anticipate, who are people most likely to select in the first round, because they're going to be big scorers come WrestleMania season. So, yeah, I think it's a bit of a no-brainer as well, given, Edge is going to be heavily featured on near enough every show. He says he's not going to compete part-time, so we might see him compete in a few matches. Yep, I think that's a very strong first selection for Sarah and Strack.
Now, obviously, you just said that Edge was going to be your first pick, so I'll let you and Robert have a wee think over there. I'll come to Scott. I presume a pick that was going to be a lot of folks' minds. Personally, I find that it was maybe not surprising, but a little bit shocked that he's went first round. I don't know if maybe he was playing into your draft plans at all.
He was kind of an outside. That's where you have to strategize.
Dave, up you. Facebook user, don't hide yourself. Come on.
Reveal yourself, Coward. You can only be one of two people based on that last pick. But we were talking. Me and Stephen have had to discuss who can we not get, who's the most likely to have been taken before us. We also had Drew up there to would probably be taken before us. But it's interesting to chat because you talked about. I brought up the possibility of Edge as a must get pick, and you said you weren't really sure, and now he's gone second pick of the first round. I think he's not going to compete. There you go.
There you go. That's fine.
Of course it was. If he competes once or twice before WrestleMania, if he wins at WrestleMania, you can switch your captaincy to Edge right before Mania. There's some big points at the final hurdle of the season. But the fact he's appeared on all the shows, appearance points alone, Edge is going to really be a valuable player, I think.
Definitely. Now, Dave, will come to you here. Have you had you had enough of a spiel over here to come up with who your first pick's going to be?
Well, we were actually bluffing. We already had a first pick in line anyway, and Edge was just a back.
Check me, I'm bluffing a live stream.
Yeah, Edge was actually a backup option for us. So, and I'm actually glad we're taking part as tag teams this season, because before I just felt like I was on my own against the world. So our first round pick is going to be the other Royal Rumble winner, Bianca Belair.
Again, another good shout. Something that was expected to go. This is what I expected more to go high up in the first round than what I did the other Royal Rumble winner there. SmackDown Women's Championship she's potentially going for here.
You are a bastard, Dave. You're an absolute bastard.
Tell us how you really feel, go.
Gone with the wind.
I love this show.
It's a really smart one there. Literally, I think so far, Drew, Edge, Bianca, this is kind of what I expected so far to go. And it's obviously why, because you want the top champions usually. As I said, the Rumble winners at this particular type of season going up to Mania will take priority. And I think it's smart of you guys to go, because I think they are both really within strong suits of actually getting the championship at WrestleMania. And maybe Bianca will reignite her rivalry with Bayley in the lead up to WrestleMania. So there's some extra points for you there.
Listen, we had a backup anyway. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. The SmackDown Women's Champion, Sasha Banks, is coming to me and Ryan.
She had a dream, she hadn't made it, and now she has found herself in the home.
That is a risky one. That is a risky one, I think.
I think people are furious about Bianca.
I don't think Sasha's walking out of WrestleMania with that title, so lads, I think you may have made a poor decision.
Well, I think it's someone, obviously, if there's a wee kind of mini feud going into Mania and she appears at a pay-per-view or something, gets a defence, it could be a good shout. Obviously, there is that potential she's going to lose because Belair's been built to this great thing, but I think it's still wise taking her off the draft board at this time. Dave, I'll come to you. Obviously, it's going to be myself and Ross that are picking next, so I'm just going to confirm. Just give us your thoughts on Banks going there.
You know what, Sasha Banks, bit of a safe pick, I would say. You know, she scored 61 points last season, was 5th overall. Scott, I believe she was your captain by the end of the season, and she got a massive win over Carmella. There's still a couple of pay-per-views. Yeah, there's a couple of pay-per-views to go before WrestleMania. So depending on what context, she defends the women's title, will she carry it to WrestleMania? Probably would say so. They might be setting us up for a match between Sasha and Bianca, which sounds amazing when you say it out loud. I'm curious though, who's going to be our opponents between now and then. But either way, if there are title matches where she's going to retain, it's definitely quite a clever selection if you're going to be having a champion who's going to be defending and retaining.
Well, me and Ross are ready to give our selection. Maybe after certain pictures got released, should have won the Women's Royal Rumble match. The Cloud are going for Rhea Ripley.
Very bold.
So it's someone not really sure where she's going to go on the main roster. She's not near debut. She could debut tonight on SmackDown. For all we know.
But you know what, though? That's us guaranteed at least 50% of the first round draft picks are going to be female superstars. And that's not something we normally see. Like, mostly the first round picks are usually male. But, it just goes to show it doesn't matter if you're male or female. If you're a strong contender, you're going to get selected.
A very dominant performance. Obviously, didn't show up in Raw, didn't show up in NXT. There's potential for it to show up in SmackDown. But we do hypothesize here, and we do fantasy book like me and Ross always have done on our extra feed shows back in the day, that we can see her to be the one that topples Asuka at Mania come this time round. So that's where we're kind of hedging our bets for there. So we're quite happy that it's panned out that way. And Scott, I will ask before we move on: Are you and Dave? Are you and Scott ready to bring in your pick? I said you and Scott, you and Stephen. I mean, despite about all these fucking comments, Rhea Ripley, shove it.
Ryan,
we feel English. That's impossible.
Right, Scott, when you're ready, detail who your first pick will be for your team.
So me and Stephen were just having a bit of a lively discussion in our little chat, because we had two picks that we kind of wanted in the first round. We were just discussing who is the best to go for, and we just say we were also going to go for a female pick, because we think sometimes in this draft people forget about the strong female picks. They lead them to maybe the second round occasionally, and so we got somebody who's in the middle of a feud right now, who you got to think is going to come out on top of said feud. It's not for a title, but you'll find our way back into the title picture.
Yep.
We taking the Queen Charlotte Flair as our first round pick.
Yep. I anticipated she was going to get picked in the first round there, so I'm actually glad you took her off the board there.
Mm-hmm. So you got to put an end to that homewrecker, Lacey Evans.
Well, Charlotte was actually undrafted last season because she's been taking so much time off over the summer. Now, Ryan, who's just commenting there, he actually had her on the season before, and unfortunately, she was a ghost. She scored absolutely 0 in the prior season.
Yeah, and it's the same. Nobody picked her last season because she lost at the Rumble, but getting the TLC points, she was got a constant presence on TV, and I think she did okay in the Rumble appearance wise. So I think you would have done well with her, and there's always a way she can find her way back into the Raw Women's title match come WrestleMania. Will she win? That is unclear. Yeah,
the feud with Lacey Evans is arguably going to keep her on TV, so hopefully some appearance points and a few wins here and there on the build to Mania. She's going to be a firm favorite, being in a prominent position come WrestleMania. So that's all in all, that's a pretty. I'd say that's
he's not liking you bringing up facts.
I wouldn't say it's a safe bet, but I think it's a strong choice given Charlotte's WrestleMania path in the past.
So as we wait for the second selection from the team of Grant and Gary. First round picks: McIntyre, Edge, Belair, Sasha Banks, Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair. An absolutely stacked way to start off round one. And someone, Dave, that you previously showed anger towards being dropped so low into round one, she's now dropped into round two. Asuka finds herself in the team of Grant and Gary.
Oh wow, okay. Well, I mean, Asuka was the third highest scorer last season. She was in high demand. the last couple of seasons, arguably because she was Raw Women's Champion, and she's been prominently featured as a big scorer. And she's just came off the back of a double champions reigns with Charlotte in the tag team titles. I think she, like, towards the end of last season, she did have a bit of a fall from grace, losing to Alexa Bliss, and then obviously losing the women's tag team championships, which was a bit of a, it was a strong season all round, but she fell at the last hurdle, and that's what cost me the win that season. So, here's hoping she can bounce back after what's been a rough couple of weeks for her, but she's still the Raw Women's Champion, and I think, if she holds it all the way to Mania, it's still every chance, she will be able to claw back a strong performance this season. So, again, not a surprising pick from Grant and Gary.
So Sarah and Strack will be up next with their pick. Obviously, Asuka is currently the Raw Women's Champion, someone that maybe different things you're seeing, how we're going on with how this draft is, maybe because it's getting to Mania season, the champions, maybe they aren't right in the back of your mind for picking. And this is arguably the case for the next pick that we're going here. Britt Baker has found herself in the team of Sarah and Strack.
Very
Scott,
interesting.
Scott, I'll come to you here. I'll say Britt Baker just won at the beach break on Dynamite. The one that's maybe tipped to win this Women's Eliminator title tournament that's going on in AEW. What's your thoughts?
It's interesting. She is one of the more prominent women in AEW right now. It's interesting to see that the first woman from AEW isn't the current champion. Also, then again, they've got this Eliminator. They've not tell us when exactly the late Eliminator is going to be. And so I think, given that you don't know when Britt Baker will be appearing and where she'll be competing, I've kind of stayed away from the AEW Women's Division. But, it's an interesting pick for round 2. And I think she is a favourite to win it. I don't know if the finals will come as part of this season, though.
I actually still want to get appearances nonetheless. Obviously, we know that Dark's not going to be involved, and that's where a lot of our waiting room thing is going to be. Mm-hmm. But Dave, if you and Robert are ready.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm just getting some comments here. People are actually pretty shocked at the choice of Britt Baker. Because I actually had her down pretty low on my list, given that most of her appearances were, as you said, on Dynamite. But, maybe Sarah and Strack know something that we don't. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But for me and Robert, one of our initial first round picks is actually still there.
Oh.
But
what are you thinking?
Yeah. It's a bit of a toss up at this stage. So I think, you know what? Let's go with it. We're taking the AEW World Champion, Kenny Omega.
Oh, I was about to say this quite late into round 2 before he's been taken.
Mm-hmm. Well, we did have our initial 6 who we thought were going to be picked first, but a lot of them sort of shoot us for a loop, and we still had one left, and that was the AEW champion. As you said, Jack, he's been heavily embroiled in this Elite Impact sort of crossover, and he's just come off a big win at Beach Break with the Good Brothers. So I imagine he's going to be continuing to be featured quite heavily, and is going to be having a pretty lengthy AEW title run going forward.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, and if the goal would like to come in with the team selection for
Ding dong ho, ding dong ho, ding dong ho.
Hello.
I'm a fucking Bailey. She betrayed me last season. Didn't get the job done. It's time for some new blood. It's time to bring her back for the 4th time ever on my team, Alexa Bliss.
Oh, here we go.
Why can't every girl be like Alexa Bliss is the question that many ask here, Scott. Obviously, I won't lie, I put a bet on her to win the Royal Rumble and she got fucking chucked out within a minute. Very raging at that, but being built as quite the person here, and it seems this Fiend Randy Orton thing's continuing, and she's involved in that quite heavily with the Fiend being out the picture just now. A good choice nonetheless, Jank.
I'd say so, yeah. I mean, again, she was another one high on my consideration as a female pick. I think given that Charlotte was available, we went for her instead. But Alexa, again, her, Rhea, Charlotte, there's all these people who are contenders to the Raw Women's title, which I think is why they were getting picked over Asuka, and that's why she wasn't as high up on people's lists. But I'm very interested to see where Alexa goes next.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, can I just add as well, like Campbell and Ryan's team so far is all female. So now...
Good on them.
He is the first ever. He is the first ever ESSR Women's Champion winning the Evolution Sweep. He will remind you. Advocate of feminism.
I will say that how this is going rather swimmingly for what the team of Ross and I want to do. And our next pick is none other.
Yes, Ryan.
None other than the current NXT champion, Finn Balor.
Yep. Very good. Very good.
So obviously we've got TakeOver, Vengeance Day in mind, or whatever it's called, coming against Pete Dunne, hoping for some title defense points there. The rumor that started this came out today, actually, the NXT title will be defended at WrestleMania. That's been talked up with the higher ups now, apparently. We're fairly happy with this pick. Dave, what's your thoughts here?
Yeah, I actually saw those reports, and if that is going to be the case, I think it's going to be actually quite likely, because it is going to be another 2-night WrestleMania, so there's loads of opportunity to squeeze it in on the card. Finn Balor has had a bit of a mixed past couple of seasons. Last season he scored 21 points. Again, not the highest of scores, but of course, he's been mostly going with appearance points, and he's been dealing with the jaw injury as well, which sort of hampered his progress. But if the rumors are true and he's going to be featured on WrestleMania along with a takeover appearance at NXT Takeover Vengeance Day, yeah, I think that's a pretty smart choice from you and Ross.
It's played into our hands how we want it here, and Scott, to end the second round, please detail your pick that Stephen and yourself have made.
We were just double checking about whether we're 100% certain about our pick, and we are, and we're quite glad that this person is still available, because we can't wait to tune in Friday nights to see big men slapping meat. Taking the Intercontinental Champion Big E. He's coming back to my team. He was a big scorer. He scored higher than my captain Sasha Banks last season, and I hope he goes to Mania where he defeats Christian in that match they never got to have at 2014.
Obviously, it's tipped to win the Royal Rumble. That didn't happen. Has the IC title, and now probably carrying that through to Mania. Davis, I think it's a good shout to take him off the board.
Yeah, he was one of my second or third round picks too. He had a lot of intercontinental title defenses lately. Scott, you would think you made a mistake. I think you made a mistake not putting your captaincy on him earlier on, but in the end, it didn't really matter last season because you still won the whole thing. And he was your highest scorer last season with 63.5 points. Big scorer, as his name suggests. I believe he was fourth. He was fourth overall, and expect him to be featured on SmackDown quite a lot. So yeah, very good choice.
Yeah, he still performed quite admirably in the Rumble match itself. Got quite a few eliminations because I was only just like a half point ahead, and then him and Riddle helped take me a bit forward. So I'm hoping he keeps up that level because they do seem like they see big things in Big E. So he'll be a prominent fixture hopefully on SmackDown going forward.
Mm-hmm. So just to sum up round two there, whilst we're waiting on Grant and Guy to give their picks in, Asuka, Britt Baker, Kenny Omega, Alexa Bliss, Finn Balor, and Big E. A rather varied selection there. Obviously, you've got your women's champion, that woman that's going to be in the title eliminator here for the AEW World Championship, and you've got your World Heavyweight Champion Kenny Omega in there as well. Alexa Bliss featured on Raw a lot. Your NXT champion Finn Balor, the Intercontinental champion Big E. It's all go. But as I said, the Intercontinental champion Big E's been taken. Now the United States champion Bobby Lashley has been taken. Gary.
Grant and Gary are just scooping up champions here right now. Like it's like they're obviously making a statement. They won the draft championship this season.
I mean, a good pick. Obviously, been drafted the past couple of seasons by Gary in the tag team in the Hurt Business with NEP Scott, and now we're going to see them as a singles competitor for the first time. But obviously, in another rivalry with Riddle, the Hurt Business is kind of near implosion. Is this a smart move just now?
I think it's smart that Guy is kind of learning from his past scene. Like he picked MVP and Lashley as a tag team. We were all like, what? And then it paid dividends. Then he did it Lashley again. And so I think he's wanting to keep him as part of his group. I think he's hoping to see how he fares as a singles guy. And well, no, he's still the US champion. He beat Riddle the night after the Rumble. So for now, we can't really see anybody taking it off him. And so you'd hope that he would carry that all the way to Mania and hopefully give the US title a prominent spot.
And now, another Raw superstar has staked their claim into the Strack and Sarah team. a former WWE champion, former United States, former
Ooh, nice.
has a big man called Omos with him. AJ Styles is in the team of Sarah and Strat.
Yeah, very good.
A prominent feature of Raw right now. There is no clear WrestleMania direction, but he is most certainly on every single week and is winning matches right now. That's a huge get, I think.
I mean, he's got like an 8 foot tall bodyguard with him. I think he's in good hands, when it comes to possibly winning matches. And he's a really good interaction with Omos as well. They make for a very entertaining duo, particularly backstage. So I'm expecting a lot of appearance points from AJ Styles. And I think I've noticed Sarah and Strack, they're starting to balance out between, who's going to appear where. And they've obviously got to focus on Wednesday nights, but still got quite a few big names from WWE, which is very promising for them.
Well, you fight over your next pick, Dave. As Ryan said, Scott, it doesn't always work filling your team with champions. Do you think that's going to be the case here?
Potentially, because, like champions advantage sometimes, and it's great when you get a good title defense, but you lose as many points from losing a title as you would have gained when you got them. So I think it'll hinder you as much as help you. And so it depends on how many of their champions are still champions by the end point of the season. Because if too many of them lose their titles, then that's a heavy hit to your team.
So, Dave, it's your time, my friend.
Yes.
What you want?
Well, we've gone down our list and we're picking the other next person. So it's all going fairly well. And he has been mentioned already on this call. Bro.
Oofed. Matt Riddle. Going toe-to-toe with Bobby Lashley here, do you think, Scott, for this US title? And obviously in your team, your winning team last year, you would have hoped maybe they got the US title then. Is it coming his way now?
I was kind of part of me was glad that he lost to Lashley in the after run, because I thought if I waited this whole season to see you win the US title, which is the main reason I picked you in the first place, and he won it the night after where it did nothing for me, I would have been so angry.
Yeah.
He's lost now, but maybe this will be part of a longer story. Because Vince apparently is very high on this laid back stoner character. There's something about he just finds funny, even though they can't acknowledge he's a stoner. So he'll still be around even if he doesn't win the US title.
On the boulevard of golden dreams, who is your pick?
Guys, listen up. As Dave's gave up, I agree, Ryan. I agree, Matt Riddle. Do you know what I say to that, Dave? And do you know what the last great professional broadcaster of ESSR says to that? Yes, and yes. We take Daniel Bryan.
Oh, Daniel Bryan.
Someone that's been picked and hasn't really scored many points recently in many seasons, but he is tipped to either be the one facing Roman Reigns for the Universal title or Big E for the Intercontinental title come Mania. I'll come to you here, Scott. Obviously, the potential of Daniel Bryan coming up against Big E for your Intercontinental title. Whilst me and Ross do over our next pick, what's your thoughts here?
I'm kind of hopeful for Big E to kind of hold on to the title until Mania. Maybe they'll do something we haven't seen in a couple of years, a big IC title ladder match with all these strong contenders, Bryan in amongst them, because he never lost the IC title. It's an interesting fact. I actually thought Bryan was actually going to be lower down in the pick, not because he's not a talented competitor, because he actually went last season undrafted, and then by the end everyone was saying Bryan's going to win the Royal Rumble. He didn't, but I think now that he's path to me is kind of unclear. I'm surprised he's went as I'm not really surprised he's went right in the middle of the draft, because he's not actually at a top program right now.
Well, I can detail what my next pick alongside Ross McLeod is going to be. It's on Wednesday night, so still got quite a few big names from WWE, which is very promising. Damien Priest.
I heard that, yeah.
It's coming. A predictable pick. I did not think that was going to go as bad as what it did. I didn't think that the draft would be heard so much in the background, but Damien Priest is going to be in the side of Jack and Ross, obviously. Something that was predicted a lot after the heroics that happened for Ross last season, Damien Priest, Dave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, his performance in the Rumble alone, I think, is probably put him in a prominent spot. And with a victory over The Miz, I think he's getting tipped to have a decent run on Raw. Although I just hope he doesn't get overshadowed by Bad Bunny this time.
I think he's had a good introduction. I think he's in a very good program right now. I think he's definitely going to feature. He's going to pick up a good few wins in Raw. speculation that he's going to be teaming with all of the Rangers men obsessed with a priest. Deary me, deary me, deary me.
Oh dear.
The current rumour right now is that he's going to be going against Miz and Morrison, teaming with Bad Bunny for Mania. So could that be a one coming up?
I mean,
we don't know how it goes, but very happy with our selection we've got here. And Scott, I believe it's time for you and Stephen Wilson for your next pick.
I will say though, it's a smart pick. I had a feeling you guys were going to go for Priest eventually, but like you said, it shows a great confidence if they're putting him in a match with a celebrity at WrestleMania, and it's kind of a guaranteed win if it does happen. But Damian Priest is a former North American champion, remember, and we are going to look to the North American title. And do you know what we and Stephen say to the current North American champion? We say, time's up, because coming back to my team after he didn't perform well a couple of seasons ago, Kushida is coming to me and Stephen's team.
Okay.
Maybe the first kind of wild card selection here, maybe. I'd also maybe alongside Britt Baker as well. But Dave, as he said, Damien Priest.
Priest.
But Dave, Kushida, a third round pick, ballsy. Very ballsy.
Yeah, a little ballsy, but not unreasonable because he is getting a North American title match against Johnny Gargano. I mean, I'm guessing, maybe the Gargano curse will return and Kushida will probably win it. So I can see I can see Scott and Stevens thinking behind this, but I don't know. I think the Gargano might continue to have his reign for a while. Say the curse is a thing of the past now. So I'm surprised he actually didn't pick Gargano instead of Kushida.
But the way I'm thinking is that Kushida's been due to win a championship in NXT for a while now. The main reason I picked him before is I thought he was going to become interim cruiserweight champion. That didn't also work out. But now I'm more confident in being North American champion, come Vengeance Day. Again, you got to think about what's coming up the season. First big show of the season is Vengeance Day. And I got to think about it.
Now, obviously, third round, Bobby Lashley, Styles, Matt Riddle, Daniel Bryan, Damian Priest, Kushida. Very good selection. And then the person that's been drafted next for Grant and Gary, someone that doesn't really ever find themselves in the fourth round, absent of the Rumble, absent for the past couple of weeks. The limitless one, Keith Lee, finds himself in the team of Grant and Gary. Dave, Keith Lee, surprised to see him drop so low?
Yeah, certainly do, because Keith has had quite a few good seasons lately. He was actually Stephen Wilson's highest scorer last season with 43 points. He was just shy of the top 10 scorers last season. I think he was 11th overall. So to see him be drafted so low was pretty shocking. But, I think he was tipped to win the Rumble, but obviously I think the story was going around that Mia Yim tested positive for COVID. And obviously because Keith Lee's her partner, I assume he had to isolate as well. So it was a bit of a setback for him, but hopefully he can bounce back like he bounces every other person over barricades and out the ring.
But I can confirm that Sarah and Strack, they're quicking the ball and their pick is already in.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Messiah, Seth Rollins.
Oh, hello.
Oh.
Scott, what's your take here? Recently returning at the Rumble.
This is an interesting one. I've had some discussions with Steven about this one. Talk about Keith Lee. I'm not surprised he's back in the fourth round because before the Rumble, everyone was talking about him potential Rumble and a potential WWE title challenger. But we don't know how long he's going to be away for and what he's going to be doing when he comes back. Seth, on the other hand, you mentioned, recording this on a Friday. He could come back tonight and start programming to Mania, maybe with Brian after what happened in the Rumble, or it could be a one-off. This is very much a wait-and-see pick from these two. Jordan pick is up to you.
Yes, Jordan. That's a good brother there. A good brother. Well done. But,
shut up, Jordan.
He gets told that in the regular. Don't worry. Don't worry. But Dave, I believe it's your turn for a selection here, my friend.
Yes, and we're a little bit spot for choice. I'm not going to lie. So,
how dare you, Ryan? That is not.
Yeah,
Johnny got up. Preach it, my friend. Preach it.
Yeah. So annoyingly, our next two picks are pretty much right next to each other. So I don't know. We're sort of debating about whether to go safe with a champion or should we take someone who could potentially dethrone them. So I think we're actually going to gain more overall if we took the challenger. Therefore,
Spell it out first, pal. Come on.
Actually, oh gosh, I'm actually wondering here, but
Can we have this pick before SmackDown tonight?
actually, you know what? We'll stick with our list. We'll go with Io Shirai, the NXT Women's Champion.
Ah. Again, see people think about Vengeance Day. She's got that triple threat match that could go either way.
Yep.
I won't lie, Dave. I think she's losing it. I think
the takeover.
Yeah, I do. I can maybe see Tony Storm or Martinez taking it. Scott, it's maybe one of the picks here that I'm slightly questioning. Obviously, first round pick last season, that just shouldn't be the case. Fourth round now, fair enough, but I can see him doing it.
Mm-hmm. I don't think she should have been a first round pick last season. Not because she's not talented, and also she's an NXT Women's Champion, but because there's so many people that seem to be higher above her, and she does seem to go through this period where she's not even on TV. And I think the uncertainty around her triple threat match, given that she won this back In Your House, which is back in the summer, so she's had that belt for a long time.
See,
and so it seems like the number may be up soon.
See, my thinking is that she'll hold it all the way to Mania Takeover and she'll lose it to a single challenger. I think she might actually retain
Ding dong,
this.
hello! Ding dong, hello! This time I'm actually going to do it. You get a second chance, babe. Bailey.
Oh, there we go. He's going with Bailey.
So now that also means that they have to pick a male pick next round.
Yep.
Then.
That's right, yep. And also, I forgot to mention, Grant and Gary will have to choose a female superstar as their last pick.
Mm-hmm. Where I think Jack, you and Ross have got you can go either way. I think for this next one.
We can go. We're a bit discussion going back and forward right now, but I'll ask the question. Obviously, you know, Bailey's quite a staple mate in the team of the GOAT that we find, and Ryan's got him in this team as well. Bailey's always a good consistent pick. You can't really argue with Bailey. Drop down to the fourth round, maybe because there's no clear direction, but it's someone that you can still have featured on TV here, Dave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Bailey's actually holds the record for highest scoring draft competitor in draft history in season 4. I think she scored over almost 250 points in one season. But then again, that was the WrestleMania to SummerSlam season, and that's a hell of a long one. You know, she did wonders for Steven Wilson in getting him his second draft win. Not had the best of seasons, you know, these last couple of times, but she's a very interesting character on SmackDown. She's got the new Ding Dong Hello segment, so she could make regular appearances. For her WrestleMania plans, though, I'm not entirely sure. That seems a bit up in the air at this stage, but we'll see how it goes.
I think this goes back to something I said, like, she dominated like season 5 when she and Sasha were winning all the belts, but like I said before, as soon as she lost to the SmackDown style, that would be where it would be very interesting, because before that, every season, Bailey had been the SmackDown champion at some point. So I think the fact she's no longer a champion, she was kind of putting over Belair on the way to the Rumble. And I think if she fights Belair again, she'll have to put her over again on the way to Bianca's big moment at the Rumble. So I don't see it getting any better for Bailey this season. Maybe after WrestleMania, she'll be like a challenger to Bianca. If Bianca like wins the title, she'll be maybe her first challenger. Or maybe she can even go after winning in the bank.
I'm still talking to my teammate here. Just quickly. Dave, obviously, what's your thoughts on Bailey here?
Yeah, you know, as I said, you know, I think Scott summed it up best. I think she might have a quieter season on the build to WrestleMania, and she could feud with Bianca afterwards. Like, because those two have had an outstanding feud these last couple of months. Her elimination from the Royal Rumble was a bit shocking, if I'm being honest. But as I said before, I hope they find something for her for WrestleMania. Otherwise, I think this is a wasted pick for Campbell and Ryan.
The pick that Ross and I will be going for, maybe a wee bit of a rejuvenation after a gauntlet match that just happened. Shinsuke Nakamura finds himself in the team of Ross McLeod.
That is
quite bold, but I think that's a bit of a fluff there, Jack, because we have just seen reports that, you know, despite, you know, this recent resurgence of Nakamura, there have been reports that Nakamura is going to get booked to help put other guys over.
Dave, don't worry about it. Can send yourself your own team. You know what I mean? Don't come in and put some red herrings into the game plan that we've got going. Obviously, he's a good run so far. potentially could maybe get involved in an IC title match if they're doing a multi-man match at Mania or something. We don't know. I think that he's someone that can feature quite a bit on SmackDown wrestling because he'll be, as you said, put folk over. He'll definitely win matches along the way. I think for a Mania focused season, I'm quite happy with the pick. And Scott, I'll come to you for your selection here of what you're going to do.
One moment. Yeah, I think we're just confirming our pick at the moment because we are deciding to consider a female pick for this round. So just give me one moment.
I'll run through the picks so far with Dave. Then for round 4, we've got Keith Lee, Seth Rollins, Io Shirai, Bayley, Nakamura. Out with Io Shirai, of course. What's your kind of pick? You're kind of glad it's been taken at this point, or is it a very good pick for round 4?
You just see the bottom there, Jack.
Nakamura,
yeah, fucking
ball.
This is why I love to have a goat on production. You know, he just makes everything so much more entertaining.
Alrighty, lads. We've I think so far me and Stephen have very much stayed away from AEW this season. We've got a Raw. We've got that balance that David kind of likes us to talk about so much. You know, we've got a Raw pick. We've got a SmackDown pick. We've got an NXT tag team. We've just had another NXT pick. And some people may not like us doing this, but we're going to go again to NXT for this female pick. And I think I originally talked about doing this as a tag team pick, but we decided that would maybe be too much of a risk. So we're taking one half of the team that I think is going to win the Women's Dusty Classic. And
I know who you're picking.
We've already teased this woman versus Io Shirai at some point. We take Raquel Gonzalez as our 4th round pick. So we were picking a male in the final round.
That's who I was torn between when it came to Io and Raquel. So it was either going to be one or the other, and I think Io stands to gain more if she retains against Tony and Mercedes.
I think like Kai and Gonzalez have been like the only real established team for a long time before they announced this Dusty Classic, so I think that's why we see them as the favourites. And so, like I said, much like Dunn and Riddle last time, we didn't take them as a tag, but we took one of them individually, and I think of the two, even if they don't win, Gonzalez is still the one they seem to be pushing over Dakota Kai, so we're more confident in her as a pick.
Yep.
It's obviously you've got this, as you said, the Dusty Cup coming up. You've seen her beat Ripley before, obviously, maybe in a good push for NXT Women's title at some point. If Io Shirai does retain, you could definitely see Gonzalez being the one to take that offer, but would that happen this season?
She did pin you at War Games, by the way. I think, I was hoping that would lead to a one-on-one match between the two. Maybe not now, but that was a surefire indication. I think they were going to face each other down the line at some point. And I think, Raquel's been tipped to be the one to dethrone Io.
Sorry, I was discussing my last round. Me and Steve are discussing our last round pick. The best thing about this way of doing it is there's still so many good people actually to get. Because right now, this is where somebody picks a random, or like everybody was confused when Dave picked Alex Reynolds last season. Even though he went on to be a good pick, but like this is usually where you get the kind of head scratch. Like, why did you pick that person, or why did you save that person to?
And then when you look at the final results, you think that's why.
Yeah, that's why. What about Gary and Grant?
Their final pick of round 5.
Last round.
And the other woman that will be in this triple threat match for the NXT Women's title, Toni Storm.
Bold.
Toni Storm.
Someone that appears in Women's Rumble. Another tip to win the match. It's for round 5. Someone that's kind of in and about NXT. It's not. I don't think it's that bad a pick here.
Yep. I think they're possibly under the assumption that Toni might actually win the NXT Women's title, and it's no reason to suspect that she won't. But I think they're taking that gamble that she might possibly win. I'm thinking otherwise. I think Io is going to retain, so that's why I sort of took her over her, Martinez, and even Raquel Gonzalez.
I think I can say this because also I don't need to get any more female picks. I need to take a male here, so it doesn't affect me. I think if you're going to choose one of the challengers, I think Martinez was the smarter choice because Toni Storm got brought back with a bit of height, but other than like the War Games appearance, she's not actually done that much. Whereas they've seen they've been making a big deal about Martinez as his return to NXT and her as a threat to Io.
But as we come to Sarah and Strack, I've just realized that they need to pick a female superstar to complete their team. They've got a 3-1 preference for male superstars here.
It's also their team right now. MJF and Jericho, Edge, Britt Baker, AJ Styles, Seth Rollins, and Lana.
Lana
Going to be going up against Baszler and Jax alongside Naomi for the women's tag titles. Obviously,
Gonna put Nia through a table. Revenge. I am
a continuation of the feud that happened years ago. Obviously, I picked her in round 1 last season because it was heavily featured at that time that she was going to win, and for some reason got written off. It seems that this time the feud's been interjected back in. It's going to kickstart again. There's many tables to go through. For a round 5 pick, I'm not completely against. I think it's quite a smart one here. Dave, you seem very shocked at this.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that at all. Like, Lana hasn't exactly been portrayed as like a conquering hero against the likes of Shayna and Nia, but maybe it might be a different story come WrestleMania, because I thought the payoff for the feud was going to be at TLC, then she gets written off with injury. She didn't exactly have an outstanding performance in the Rumble either, even though she did eliminate Nia Jax, so that was a bit of comeuppance, but I reckon she's going to get beaten from pillar to post come WrestleMania season. So not the one I would have gone for personally.
I mean, she's safer than previous seasons. And all obviously, Jack, when you picked her, you couldn't have foreseen them like taking her out, at the last minute. But maybe this is where they pick up where they left off, and they can do what they were planning on doing, and give Lana, even if it's just like a brief reign with her and Naomi, at least it gives they two something to do, and so I guess they could pay off.
So Dave and Robert Shaw, your last round 5 pick.
Yes, and it is somebody who's actually still pretty high up on our list. Like, a lot of the ones below this person have already been taken. So, I mean, it's a little bit different because we're going back to Wednesday nights for this one, and I hope everybody's ready for this one, because you all better fall and pray.
Oh.
I'm taking me and Robert, TikTok, Karrion Kross.
Oh, Karrion Kross.
Oh, I see when you were doing that fall and pray. Gosh, I thought you were taking Bordeaux, and I was like, Jesus.
Well, that would be an interesting choice. But,
TikTok, everyone. This is the countdown has begun to me and Robert's draft win this season.
So obviously, I had her picked in a couple of seasons. A couple of seasons ago, won the NXT title, but was injured after that. So we went to see him match again. Scott, a resurgence here in the draft for Karrion Kross.
Potentially, I think so. You talked about the NXT title being defended at WrestleMania. I think Balor will probably come out of Vengeance Day as the champion, and Karrion Kross is the one they've been teasing for a while. So they too, WrestleMania weekend, potentially one night of WrestleMania, Karrion Kross wins. That could be a big final point getter in the season, because it's clear that WWE are very high on Karrion Kross.
So I believe that it is a time for the NWA World Heavyweight Champion David Campbell.
Aldous is in this.
What's your take here, my friend, for your pick?
You're on mute, Campbell.
If you'd like to unmute yourself, please.
2 seconds, mate. 2 seconds.
Oh, they're panicking. They're panicking.
Oh,
yeah. Whoa, hang on. What's that?
Adam Pearce has joined us.
Oh my God, it's a wild Ryan.
All right, trips. All I'm going to say is, me and Campbell, our last pick, scrap daddy AP, Adam Pearce.
Oh,
You idiots!
Oh, dissension in the ranks here.
I don't even know what David said.
Oh, Dave, I was calling you idiots for letting Adam Pearce slip so far down, appearing over 2 shows. Muppets.
I think he is quite low down on a lot of people's consideration, but appearance point too far away. That screams last round pick, that to me.
Yeah, mega last round pick. Maybe in a team of 12 competitors, perhaps, but not in a team of 6, where you get so many big choices still to choose from. And Adam Pearce, I think at this stage, is only going to be having taking part in any more matches unless, for some convoluted reason, he ends up in a WrestleMania match.
Well, we've seen obviously an authority figure taken here. Adam Pearce has been appearing on both shows, but Ross and I are going to take his SmackDown counterpart and potentially maybe feature Mike in the end, maybe a wee WrestleMania match or something is the hope here. But someone that's appeared a couple of times a show here, Sonya Deville, finds her way in the team of Ross and Jack.
You had to pick a woman too, so it was. I don't know. I think there's still I think there were still a few others you possibly could have chosen from, but you know what? Fair play to you, Sonya Deville. Fair enough.
All I know is everything that we wanted to do, we've been able to do. So I'm fairly happy with exactly how this team's gone down. And there's one last pick to make here, Scott, for your team. What
the final pick of the season?
Final pick of the season. Yeah, the number 30 entrant.
So I retract my previous statement. We are going to AEW. We've had a little bit of discussion with somebody we thought we'd already been taken by now. He seems to be guaranteed a win come Revolution, given that he seems to be teaming with his long-lost father. Before the TNT title has not served me well, but maybe this is our second chance to get some points back. We take Darby Allin as our final pick.
Darby the Dragon.
Didn't serve Baku too well last season, but the recent appearances with Sting a lot.
Diet Sting, fuck off. That would be Sting Jr. Thank you very much.
As it stands, that's the draft over, and already I've been getting the captaincies and the team names sent in. Gary and Grant, their team name is going to be Men on a Mission. On their first draft.
A tag team incarnation of Team Viscera.
And obviously no surprise who their captain is going to be here, Drew McIntyre.
Yep.
Going to be in the good road to WrestleMania, so you can't complain there. And maybe Strack Edge Society we thought would continue, but it's a bit of a change here. Savage Bath Bomb is what we're going for, Strack and Sarah. And their captain is going to be the Royal Rumble winner, Edge.
Interesting.
Oh, I know he's going to be appearing, but I would have held off putting the captain on Edge until right before Mania.
But who else would have put the captain on? I can't see anybody else. They could have put theirs on.
They've got Edge, Britt Baker, Styles, Rollins, and Lana.
Yeah, unless they put it on their tag team, I agree with you.
But Dave, you've been so kind as to send in your team name, your captaincy for me to read out, and I appreciate that a lot. And I really do like your team name that you and Robert have gone for, the Shaw Bank Redemption.
Yeah,
I think that's very fantastic. And your captain's going to be Kenny Omega.
That's correct. Yep.
It's,
a very, very good choice.
It's certainly better than your bloody West End Country Club nonsense.
Hey, listen, that's my solo tag team. If it's me and Robert Shaw, we're going to be the Shaw Bank Redemption.
So I believe it's a time for the two-time draft winner question mark.
Will be at the end of this season. It's not 1.5. It's an actual season, Scott. All right, so be quiet, sit in the corner there, all right, and let me do my talking just now. All right, you have talked enough. God knows it's been over an hour at this point. Listen, all right, we're paying tribute to one of the best bands of all time, the Wolf Tones. We will be the Goat Tones this season. All right. And to start off with, we will be putting our captaincy on the greatest tag team on the planet, would never injure a soul, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler.
Aye, a good shout there. A good shout. You can't complain with that, how that's going to go. And there could be a switch to anything that comes Mania season for that team. So it's a very good shout. The team name for myself and Ross, we're going with the Priesthood. That's what we're going with. The selection of Damien Priest.
It's very you.
The captain with Vengeance Day takeover in mind, none other than Finn Balor.
Yeah, I think that's a smart choice. Yeah.
So last but not least, Scott, your team name, your captain, please.
We are not going for the two-time ambassadors as much as David Hockney would want. we are going to be the 2-man power trip, power with 3 R's, to commemorate the time me and Stephen, a long time ago, used to be the host of a show called Power Trip with 3 R's, where we looked back at NWA Power. So it's a personal name to us, the 2-man power trip, and our captain is somebody who maybe I should have put the captaincy on last season, even though Sasha Banks did me well. We're going with Big E as our captain to start the season.
Mm-hmm. Yep, very smart.
So I'll give a final rundown of the teams before we end here. Men in a mission for Grant and Gary. Tag team Roman and Heyman, Captain McIntyre, Asuka, Bobby Lashley, Keith Lee, Tony Storm. The Savage Bath Bombs of Sarah and Strack have got MJF and Jericho, Edge, Britt Baker, AJ Styles, Seth Rollins and Lana. The Shaw Bank Redemption of Dave and Robert Shaw, the Young Bucks, Belair, Kenny Omega, Matt Riddle, Io Shirai, Karrion Kross. The goat tones of Ryan Gallagher, David Campbell have Jackson Baszler, Sasha Banks, Alexa Bliss, Daniel Bryan, Bayley, and Adam Pearce. The Priesthood, Ross and Jack, have Thatcher and Ciampa, Rhea Ripley, Finn Balor, Damian Priest, Nakamura, Sonya Deville. And the 2-man power with 3 R's trip have MSK, Charlotte Flair, the captain of Big E, Kushida, Gonzalez, and Darby Allin. And that is what I say is that. Thank you all for joining me in this lovely occasion of Saturday Draft Live, which is indeed live. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, Anchor, Spotify, iTunes, you know that usual dribble, feature show, central shows, East meets West, all sorts of good stuff. Check the YouTube channel, which we'll be on as well. And all I've got to say is, Scott, Dave, thank you very much for joining me here.
Thank you for hosting, Jack.
You did well, so it's always the funnest part of the draft, and me and Stephen are very happy with our choices.
And I must say, best of luck, you bunch of pricks. See you later.
See you, bye.